Appearance-wise doesn't always tell you that. You check body comp, it can always be elevated. And why is body comp elevated? Anybody remember when we talked about that? Anybody? Calorie intake isn't matching calorie expenditure. You're not eating enough. So you may look lean, but your body fat's extremely high because you're not eating enough. Your body is storing it because it's not getting what it needs, and it's going to hold on to it because it doesn't know when it's coming in again. Give it what it needs, balance it out, but get in the habit of doing it. Eat till you're satisfied. Don't sit there and keep jamming food, jamming food, jamming food. Okay? Questions? Anybody?
Question?
Yes.
Okay. For the two, when you say for the...
Come on up. Come.
I don't want to go.
Oh! All right, go ahead.
Okay. When you say that the pre-workout you have to eat 2 to 3 hours before, like some of us eat lunch at like 11 o'clock, and then when we get home, they go straight to swimming, and we only have that short period to eat.
So you only have a short time to eat.
Yeah.
Eating lunch is important. If you've got to eat right before practice, that's where you can look at your fast digesting. Pull from there so you can look at more of your snack and your fast digesting carbs. Something that's going to get through you right away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
So ideally you'd want to go 2 to 3 hours before, but if you eat lunch and you've got, say, 4 hours before practice, getting a little something in beforehand is fine. But you don't want something slow, take something a little bit more fasting to get it back in your system right away. Yes, ma'am.
What about the swimmers that end at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and that like one meal that you said 2 hours after they swim?
Taking the calories in right away after they're done eating can help. And when they get home, they can go right into that whole food meal. That's fine. They can eat that right away. Take into account what they ate right after practice, and then count that towards that meal at night too. Does that make sense? So if you're looking at what they're taking in right after practice, then determine the other 2 categories when you get home to eat the whole food meal. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
But like after practice, I always, he always wants a bowl of cereal or something like that. It should be more slow digesting versus the fast.
Well, if it's how much time after the swim
We're
practice?
talking like, some of those smaller kids, they get home at like 8:30 at night, but they're starving. Yeah. What would be a good snack,
You're talking about as soon as they get home
Yeah.
and they're
So like
starving.
that after workout, they don't have time for a big
It's
meal
fine.
because they're going to bed.
It's fine. Yep. They can eat something like that. Cut up some fruit for them. Another source they can look at, if they like things like, say, beef jerky is good. It's a lean protein. It's something that most kids will eat. That's a good source. Eating nuts, anything like that, trail mix, all that stuff's very good for them. Yes, ma'am.
If you're in school and you can't eat like mid AM or mid PM snack, does it matter?
No, I mean, you still have to deal with the rounds of reality. I mean, ideally this is what you want to do, but if you can have, there again, in your locker, some trail mix, some fruit, some bagels, things like that you can chew on or snack on between classes, grab something and go. There's different variations of bars, snack bars that you can get, that you can, 2 or 3 bites, it's gone. Those are good things to have. Nutri-Grain bars, yes. Something, I'll tell you this way, 10% of something is better than 10% of nothing. Okay? Yes. Is it good to eat Special K every day? He asked if it was good to eat Special K every day, and I said absolutely. Anything else? Yes.
Most of these kids are still growing. Do you still
The younger kids that are still growing, there again, basically it's a needs analysis. If you don't think they're getting enough and they're constantly, God, I'm hungry, Mom, I'm hungry, Mom, I'm hungry, Mom. Increase it by at least a minimum of 500 calories. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Did somebody hear? Did everybody hear that question? Yes.
Morning practice, eating before that, they've been sleeping, they get up, they're here by 5:30.
Yeah, if you, there again, your fruit, a piece of toast, peanut butter on it, something that they can eat real quick and come to. There again, they don't have to put a ton of them in them. The early morning practices, I understand that, but it's more important what they take in as soon as they're done with that practice. And there again, that's going to follow the same guidelines as that we took as far as your post-workout. So when they get done with that, if they come back home or if they stay here, your cereals come into play with that. There again, bagels, anything like that, fruit, something that's going to have a more faster digesting carb to it. If they have a choice of where they can bring something with them, let's say they can bring an egg sandwich with them, or they can bring an egg and cheese sandwich with toast or something like that they can eat as soon as they're done, a snack bar. It's more important in that early morning practice what they get in right after they're done with the practice versus more so in the beginning. Yeah. Water hydration during the course of practice is going to play a huge role. Making sure that they stay hydrated in the morning is going to play a big part of that too.
More calories in a day when you come to practice?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they're again as needed. So calorie expenditure increases. Look at what their already baseline calorie intake is. Increase it by a minimum of 500, and then go from there. Yes, ma'am. Power bars are fine. Yeah, the power bars are fine. I mean, to me, they taste like cardboard, but if kids love them, fire them up. They're great. There's nothing wrong with them. It's a good carb source. There's a little bit of protein in it. It's got the dietary fiber. It doesn't have a bad nutritional profile to it all. They're fine. Yes?
What about, sorry.
Does mid-PM kind of be like, is that kind of be like after school snack?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
And then what's good for during competition, when they get out of the pool after races, they're tired, they're hungry, to get enough energy for the next heat that might be, maybe an hour and a half between heats?
Either a fast digesting carb and continue to push protein. There again, trail mix. Later in the competition, like say, making sure that they're staying hydrated. Anything fast digesting is going to be great for them. And pushing there again, continue to push the lean protein source. Beef jerky, any of that stuff, I keep coming back to that, but it's an easy, quick source that kids like to eat, and it's great for them. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you want to eat during practice, like what should you eat?
You want to eat?
Like you said you're supposed to eat during practice, like is that
There again, if you're feeling run down, you're feeling depleted, you can eat during practice. And there again, that is hydration, water intake, any type of piece of fruit, nuts, stuff that's there again, pulling from your fast digesting carbohydrate section. But at all cost, you want to try and have that in place before you get into practice. That's only in case of like you're on a double day, it's your second practice of the day, you're just worn down, you don't really feel like you have it, you can do it. Does that help?
Yeah.